about two guys in the 1950s that their hero was James Dean, Jimmy Dean. Everybody knows who he is, and they dressed like him, and they went around and caused all kind of mayhem. So I'll have to look that one up. And there was a third one he mentioned. It's called Motorcycle Diaries. Some of you viewers, my viewers, may want to look some of these up, but these are one Chris recommended to me, and I'll have to look those up. He also asked what kind of movies I like. I may be a little odd on movies. I tell you what I do is when I watch movies, especially movies about the South, I consider myself, of this area of the South, a pretty good critic of what's realistic and what is not, and I enjoy doing that. The movies, now it might have been true a few years ago, but the movies you see where everybody in the scene is sweating in every scene is not right anymore. We don't sweat quite that much, so that's one thing I've noticed. And a lot of the vocabulary, dialect, some of it hits it pretty close, some of it does not for my part of the South. But I want to tell you a movie that I think hit home, and I've got several running through my mind right now, but one that hit home that looks like the South that I knew in my growing up years and still in many places around here was Sling Blade. That the way those people conducted themselves and the little town they had as a setting. And I guess Billy Bob Thornton, I think, is from Alabama or Georgia. He's a Southerner, so he remembered and got into that movie. You know, he played Carl in that Sling Blade, but he got into that movie. Very realistic. If you want to get a glimpse, especially of the South a few years ago, watch Sling Blade. There's a lot of realism there. There really is. So that's a good movie. And you know, there's a movie over on the Georgia coast. There's a beautiful place. There's several beautiful places, but Savannah, Georgia is a beautiful old place. And there's a movie that, and I used to use a symbol out of this movie on some of my videos. You may remember it, The Bird Girl. And there's a movie that, to me, captures some of the, I guess, instead of the country part of the Old South, maybe some of the splendor of the Old South, I guess you could call it. And it's called Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. And I enjoyed that too. I've watched it several times, and it's worth watching. And as you notice, this video has run on and on, so you're probably watching part 2 by now. But I can't make a short video when I've been off of YouTube for a month, so see, I have all this time to catch up. So I guess that's the reason for this. But if you don't like long videos, you might not ought to watch the Mess About One channel, because Mess About One is going to get carried away quite often. And that's 2 movies I mentioned. And guys, there are a bunch more. I can't think of them right now. There's so many of them. I got a lot of kick now, I guess because I like bluegrass music, and it had a country theme, although there was some terrible stereotypes and some terrible misinformation in the movie. But Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is also one of my favorite movies. I think it was well made. I like the filmology of it. I certainly like the music in it, and I watched it again the other night, and that's a good movie. But I could go on. I got a lot of movies I enjoy, and a big variety of movies I get a kick out of. My big problem now is there's so many movies that is available outside of YouTube. Can't find time to watch them. Being busy anyway, I've got a digital video recorder on my cable at home, and I can record any movie that I want, but I've already found that I can't go back and watch them anyway. So there's too much to do and too little time, but I guess that's everybody's problem. I just thought of another movie, and of course everybody loves Casablanca. I thought of Casablanca, but there's another movie with Clark Gable in it. Not Clark Gable, Humphrey Bogart in it. That is one of my favorites, and I guess this one is due to my love of boats. A Mess About One comes from a little children's story about swamp creatures that love boats. I won't get into that. But anyway, African Queen is one of my all-time favorites also. I watched it again the other night. That's a great movie. I love it. It's just a great movie. So that's as far as I'm going to go on the movies, because I don't know how many minutes I've gone here. Probably 20, look, about 25 minutes already. This may be a 3-parter instead of a 2-parter. I guess I ought to be ashamed, but I'm not. Chris also mentioned, as I said, he sent me a private video. He said right now he thought that he would do his videos by private. He's not ready to go public. And said something about not being polished or something. If you look around on YouTube, there's a whole lot of us are not polished, Chris. I don't consider myself polished at all. I guess many people have told me I tell a good story and that I look comfortable in front of the camera, and that's that's kind of out of character for me. If I was here in front of 50 people, it'd be a different story. But I can talk to this camera, and I can I have some control before you see it. If it's too bad, now I don't edit much. I won't edit this very much, so I'll break it up in segments, but I don't edit much. But anyway, to me this is all fun. If I make a fool out of myself, too bad. If I say or do something you don't like, too bad. You don't have to watch. But I'm proud of. I noticed today, and I haven't mentioned my subscribers, and it keeps going up and up, and I don't go out and try to get subscribers. I appreciate everyone I have. I thank every one of you for watching. I wonder why you do watch sometimes, but I think it's up to about 353 or 4 or something today, and it just kind of goes on. I guess if I got on here much, I might build a bigger audience, but I don't care to get it real big, because I like the intimate contact and commenting and getting to know people that you can do when you have smaller numbers. And sometimes I guess I don't interact as much as I should, but if I don't answer your comment or comment on your video or anything like that, or take part in anything you got going, just know that Old Mess About One is working his rear end off, and he just doesn't have time right now. And I was busy before this, as you know, if you've watched my videos on the house. And now this has come up, I can't even get time to work on the house. So anyway, let's go on with